I'm WFXR meteorologist Gary Boyer. We are officially at the end of the hurricane season in the Atlantic Basin, so let's crunch the numbers and see where the season officially ended. We had 21 named storms between the months of June and November of this year. We had 7 hurricanes total. 4 of those were major hurricanes with Category 3 or above strength, which had winds of at least 111 miles per hour. Now, some other interesting items of note: this was the 6th consecutive year that we had an above average season. That's a pretty impressive number. We had a total of 8 landfalls between June and November. 5 rapidly intensifying hurricanes, which is a rapidly intensifying hurricane is classified when the central pressure drops 24 millibars or more in 24 hours or less. So that happened 5 times. That's a pretty scary number out there. Ida had the strongest local impact. We're going to talk about that here in just a little bit. And this was the 2nd straight year that we used the entire primary list of names supplied by the National Hurricane Center. That happened in 2005, 2020, and now 2021. So 2020 and 2021, the only time where we had consecutively used up all of those names. So let's talk about Ida, which is again the storm that had the highest local impact. It started here into the Caribbean, where we had it officially become named system on the 26th of August. It then clipped the western part of Cuba on the 27th, so one day later. It quickly moved off the coast and back into the Gulf of Mexico, weakened down to a Category 1 system. But notice between the 28th of August and when it made landfall, it went from Category 1 to a Category 4 storm. That's one of those rapidly intensifying hurricanes that we just talked about. Made landfall again, Category 4, maximum sustained winds 150 miles per hour, produced copious amounts of damage, especially there pretty close to where it made landfall around Port Fourchon in Louisiana. Then the system again made landfall, continued inland, passed just 2 hours west during the August 31st time frame, and then ultimately moved out to sea pretty close to the Atlantic City area in New Jersey. Take a look at the wide area, the entire path of Ida. It traversed quite a ways and produced again a lot of damage in some parts of the area. Also associated with Ida, we had 2 tornadoes. The first one down here around the Radford area, it was an EF1 tornado with peak winds, say between 90 and 95 miles per hour. So a little bit of damage produced with that system. But then we also had another tornado around the Blacksburg area, also with winds of between 90 and 95 miles per hour as an EF1 tornado. There wasn't a lot of trek with this. In other words, it didn't move long distances. There were very short paths. This one only had, say, even a little bit less than a quarter of a mile. And then the one there closer to Radford, just a little bit less than 2 miles of track. So they did not last long at all on the ground, which is pretty typical of tornadoes associated with hurricanes. There's a lot of turning in the atmosphere, so they can produce pretty quickly, but they usually don't last all that long. So Ida was definitely a system that will go down in history here in Virginia. Officially, the hurricane season is now over for 2021. What will 2022 look like? Well, only time will tell.